Hey friends, so today I am going to walk you through how to set up a personal development or a personal growth plan. This is something that I have wanted to do for forever, and I figured I'm just gonna record it while I do it in the off chance that I share it someday. I'm literally recording this in October 2022, so who the heck knows when I'm actually gonna release this. But I know for me personally, this is something I've always wanted to do. It's something I've kind of always read about doing. And yet when I look for resources online for how to go about doing this, there's freaking nothing out there. And it's so frustrating to me that this is something that is recommended. It is something that I've seen, multiple people talk about, and yet I can't find any information for how to go about doing this. Now really when I think of a personal growth and a personal development plan, I don't think of it in kind of esoteric, mamby-pamby way that I think so many people do, which is often, I feel like a lot of the videos I found, they've been a lot of just kind of really vague questions of where do you see yourself in 10 years? What do you think you need to have accomplished to get there? And I know I'm kind of using a goofy voice when I say that, but those are, yes, important questions, but I think some of the places where we often then get stuck is we know we have all of these things that we need to do. How do we then go about doing them? And how do we then go about doing them in a way where they, A, actually get done, but B, don't overwhelm us in the process of getting them done? So that's kind of what I'm going to dive into today. I'm not going to lie, this is completely just kind of ad hoc. Me doing it, me recording it, in case it's helpful to you as I kind of put together my own personal development plan. But in no way is this tried and tested. The one thing that I will say is tried and tested about this, OMG, I love how I just have my phone case chilling in the background. Also, what you guys can't see is I have my entire recording setup, the case for it's just chilling on my desk, super disorganized right now. Whatever, not the greatest lighting in the world right now. Whatever, we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this. And we're going to see what comes out of it. The part of this that is tried and tested, I think that's what I was about to say a second ago, is the goal setting part of this and how I go about setting goals and setting milestones and breaking goals down, as well as the part where I'm very, very conscious of what is too much. What is too much for me to take on? So that is stuff that I do actively do as I'm doing my planning and my goal setting in any part of my life. The other thing, though, that I will say that I'm not going to be doing in this is not going to be professionally focused. I don't think of a personal development and a personal growth plan as something that is purely about your job. I just don't. I think of it as, the things that you might do for your business or your profession, but I also think of it as the things that you want to do for you just because they're fulfilling, they sound interesting, they're things that you want to do. So that's going to be kind of how I'm approaching this. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Okay, so to kind of do this, obviously we've got my share and I've got my video happening all at the same time. But to do this, what I'm going to go ahead and start with is I'm going to start on my goals page inside of my anti-burnout planner. All of the templates and all of the things you see are available inside of my anti-burnout Notion digital planner, which I will go ahead and link below. But everything's in there, and I'm going to go ahead and start on my goals page. Now, I do have some existing goals in here. These goals are things that were derived from the different kind of parts of my life that I'm looking at. The different places where I have goals and whatnot that I'm working on are in my business, my environment, my finances, my health, my personal growth, which is where we're going to be very, very focused today, my relationships, and then my day job. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go into this personal growth section because so much of what I'm going to be focusing on and talking about here is going to be personal growth focused, and you can kind of see I've already got some goals in here. I think I do. Where are my goals at? Oh wait, I'm in projects, that's why. Okay, so I've already got some goals in here. I want to learn more about meditation. I want to read 24 books this year. As I read this, I am one book away from hitting this. I also have some, I need to add images to these so they look pretty. Okay, so there's that one. Oh, but it's the same as the other one. We can't have that. Okay, but I've got goals in here, and now what I'm also going to go ahead and do here to really make this worthwhile is I have kind of, as I was thinking about how I want to go about doing this entire process, I kind of realized that I already have a lot of things that I want to achieve and that I want to do already hashed out inside of what I call a life handbook. This is something, oh my God, I think the first iteration of this life handbook I did was probably like pushing 8 years ago. There was a gal I used to follow online. Her first name was Celeste. I can't remember what her last name was. And she was the first person I ever heard about doing this. Now, she did it in a paper copy, and over the years, I've kind of modified it to be a digital copy of the Life Handbook. Another thing that I did here is I also took a Mind Valley course. Oh my God, can you guys hear my neighbor's dog howling? Every single time. I don't even know, like an ambulance drives by? Whatever. We'll wait. Okay, he's starting to die down. So I also did another program with Mind Valley that did a lot of the similar stuff. So I kind of integrated the two together. And this is really what I'm going to use to kind of define what the different things are that I feel like are going to fall under my personal growth plan. Now, you might see I have one down here. Honestly, I might just use this as some ideas as I get started, but I don't really like this one because it doesn't integrate nicely with my other systems, with my milestones, with my goal setting systems, etc. So we'll use it to kind of help us make sure we're capturing everything I want to do, but may not necessarily, this is probably not going to be anything sort of what the final personal growth plan looks like. So what I'm actually going to start doing though, is I am going to make another copy of my Notion window, and I'm just going to share my entire screen, and we're going to split screen this sucker because I want to be able to see everything here. Okay, this is better. This is a lot better. So, what I've got in here, I want to make sure I've got everything captured inside of here. So I've got read 24 books at least. That is a current active goal that I am working on that I'm hoping to achieve by the end of the year. I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to update this goal for the next year. Or actually, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to create it right now because I want to try to do, we might up it to like 30 books for next year. But I want to kind of start getting that one ready. So I might create a new goal of read 30 books this year, and I'll go ahead and label this 2023 so I just don't get confused. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to click the goal template. This just automatically populates the template that I have for my goals. It'll take just a little second. And this is going to be for next year. So I'm going to, I know I'm planning like way far in advance. And every time I set a goal, I do this little transformation test. Is it timely? So does it have a time associated with it, like a time frame? Is it relevant? Absolutely, because personal growth is really, really huge for me, and it's a big way in which I kind of push myself and also just educate myself for my clients and whatnot that I'm working with. Is it actionable? Yes, I can take specific actions. Is it non-negotiable? Yes, this is part of my routines. It's something I do every morning. Is it specific? Yep, I'm saying I want to read 30 books, so that's specific. It is forward focused. I do have ownership. This basically, do you have ownership just means, are you in control of getting this thing done? And yes, I am. Is it relevant? Yep. And is it measurable? Yep, we're talking 30 books. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to literally do a calculation really quickly. 30 books. So if we have 365 days divided by 30, okay, that's about a book every 2 weeks. So how I go about doing this every time I input a new goal is I go in and I add my milestones. Now this part's going to be a little tedious, so we'll probably just fast forward through it. Okay, that was irritating, but it's all in there. And then what I will do, I'll actually show you what I do in terms of like my current book tracking that I'm doing. We're going to shrink that guy down. Go over here, read 24 books. What I do is as I read the book, I go in and I add the title of whatever book it is that I read in there. So I'll do that the next year as I do the same goal. So read 30 books this year. I've got all my milestones in there. I'm going to go ahead and make this column smaller. The other thing though that I do here is I assign a target deadline of approximately when I want to get that goal done. Now this is going to be important because these target deadlines are going to get populated inside of, here I'm going to turn my camera a little bit. These target deadlines are going to get populated inside of a calendar, which is going to help me keep track of tentatively the dates when I want to get stuff done. Now it is tentative because I'm going to go ahead and show you this in here as we assign our target deadline. So let's say for this first one, I want to get it done by January 12th. Now, if I open up this, there's the target deadline, and then there's the date that this is completed. And I think this is really, really important because a lot of us, we get perfectionistic with our goals. And if we don't complete it by our target deadline, we get mad at ourselves and we quit. That's not what we want here. The target deadline is, yes, the deadline that we're aiming for, but having this date completed in here, I feel like for me, psychologically, it says, hey, you might not complete it on that day. You might complete it earlier than that day. That's okay. You don't have to be perfectly on your deadlines and on your targets to do this. It's okay if you get off track. So as I start completing things, I will fill in the date completed and I will check it complete. And this is going to actually help my Notion setup here quantify how close I am to achieving that goal. So like back in the one where it was 24 books, the one that I'm actively working on here, you can see if I were to go into that goal, it says it's 95% completed. This is going to auto calculate as I check off my milestones. So that's why adding those milestones in for me is really, really important. Not only does it keep me on track, but it also helps me kind of quantify how close am I. So I'm going to keep adding in my milestones here every 12 to 14 days. All right, there we go. We've got deadlines in for all of these. It's automatically sorting it based on when the deadline is. And again, how this is going to fit into my systems, and the reason why I wanted to do this personal development plan inside of like my Notion system is because then all of these deadlines are going to be integrated and tracked inside of kind of the other systems that I have. So for example, this quarterly plan system shows me what goals I have that are due what quarter. Currently, it's only showing the goals for Q4 of this year, but as soon as it switches over to 2022, those goals are going to automatically get sorted into Q1, Q2, and Q3 of 2022, or excuse me, 2023. But the other big reason why this is so helpful is if I go into my goals view here, inside of my goals view, I have all of the milestones for when things are going to get done. So like if I go out to 2023, now you can see not only do I have some other deadlines and goals in here, I also have the book dates in here. So I have all of these great goals that are already in here and the milestones for these goals that are already kind of in here and organized. Now, one thing that I am going to do in this view over here is I want to keep track of what goals I currently have. I realize that I should probably do this. I need to keep track of what goals I currently have that are scheduled for 2023 so I don't overcommit myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that quarterly plans view. And I'm going to, this might be the part where it's a little tricky because they're kind of squished. My views are smashed down together. So actually, I think what I'm going to do is instead I'm going to go down to my goals database so that I can see the deadlines. So currently they are set to sort by their target deadline, which is great. That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to integrate these over here. So I have in Q1, I'm probably going to delete this personal growth plan eventually, but in Q1 I have to finish my stress management certification. In Q2, I have to learn more about meditation. I don't like how vague that goal is. What do I have going on inside of this goal? Okay, so I think I want to take an MBSR or mindfulness meditation course. I think that's more so of what this goal is. I'm totally going to change the name here. So I'll copy that over, that I want to do that in Q2. I am going to organize these too. I don't think it's sorted in any particular way. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I also have that I want to finish my sleep management certification, and that looks like it's happening at the beginning of Q3. So I kind of like how these are all spaced out so far. I could probably do multiple goals due at any given quarter, kind of depending upon what they are. I have pay off my BECU card. That is also a Q3 goal of next year, which is a-okay. I like that. I think I can do these two together. They don't conflict with each other. They're not going to take, too much of my mental energy. Publish a book. I have to do that by Q4. I keep doing an A instead of a Q. So irritating. I think how my publish a book one is probably going to end up being the science book. So I'm just going to put, I have a couple different books I'm working on, so I'm just going to specify it for myself. So I'll drag that down. And actually, I'm kind of already seeing, look, I have earn a mindfulness meditation certification. That might kind of overlap with this one. Like, do I want it to be a certification? I might just kind of put a question mark there with that one. And then I can just go ahead and delete this one. I am going to have a Q4, and I'm just going to replace this one. Q4 is going to be the 30 books goal that we just worked on. And I have this, so I've actually already put these in here, so I'm going to delete that. So this is another interesting goal, become fluent in Spanish. Looking at the other, this is going to be time consuming. This is also going to be time consuming. This is going to be time consuming as well. And this is also going to be time consuming. So I have a one relatively time consuming goal every single quarter of this year. So I might actually end up moving the become fluent in Spanish over, which is going to mean that I have to move the begin studying French over. I'm going to move it into 2025. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, this is kind of, let's see, are there any other ones I want to put in here? Okay. So saving for a house. This is scheduled in 2025, and I have this as a Q4 2025 goal. So I like that. I actually do think I am going to show both of these. I have them hidden right now, but part of why I'm doing this is I really, really want to make like a very, very long-term picture of the goals that I'm working on and the things that I want to achieve. So I think I'm going to expand it. Why didn't it save? Did I not like save it? Okay, well, we'll type it again. Q4, choo. Alrighty, there we go. So we've got that Q4 goal in there. I want to buy a townhome here. That is actually outside of this. So we'll make a 2027. Again, these are just placeholders for me here. It's not necessarily going to become my personal growth plan. And this one doesn't have a date because I'm still thinking about if I want to do this one inside of my day job. So that's why that one doesn't have a date here. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is kind of why I initially set up this split screen here is I'm going to go in to each of these parts of my life handbook. And you can see inside of this life handbook, I have a premise, a vision, a purpose, and my plan of action. This is based on the Mind Valley course that I took that really helped me kind of refine my previous life handbook and the things that I wanted there. So that's kind of why these sections. I'll see if I can track down the name of the previous life handbook course that I took on Mind Valley. It was great. I actually got a lot out of it. I didn't feel like I needed to continue paying for it, but I got a lot out of it. So I'm just kind of scanning through this to see if there's any like goals or things that I want to achieve inside of here. And really a lot of this isn't, I think maybe a thing that I could add as a goal. And I'm just going to kind of put these goals in here. I'm not going to necessarily assign a date to them per se just yet. But I think one of the things I might add as a goal is I want to start working with a chiropractor, because this is something I've wanted to do for a while. And I also want to start working with a masseuse. I think I'm spelling this right. Again, so those are two things out of this that I kind of see I do want to keep working on, but I don't necessarily assign goals to things that are kind of continuous actions. Those become things that I integrate more into my habit tracker. So I'm not going to assign deadlines to these. I will go ahead and say that this goal was set on October 7th, 2022, and actually this goal was set earlier this week. And I'm going to go ahead and add these to health. I think I also have a fitness one in here. Yeah, fitness. So we're going to add both of these to health and fitness. There we go. There we go. So now we've got our areas. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look at the next section of the life handbook, which is the emotional section of the life handbook, and see if I've got any goals inside of here. Alright, so let's keep on plugging away through our next category in the life handbook, which is personal growth. There's guaranteed to be some things in here. So like you can kind of see in my plan of action, 30 minutes a day for learning, studying, and growth. That's kind of my morning reading that I do. So this is something that I'm actively working on. I want to go to a personal growth training. And I think this is really where this kind of whole thing comes in, is what am I going to be training myself in? Oh, actually, I just remembered one of my to-dos for today was related to a training that I had previously signed up for. Not a personal growth training, but a professional development training, like a skill that I really want to learn inside of my business. I am going to copy that into my goals, because one of this goal is to complete the Pinterest Lab training. I bought this forever ago, and Pinterest just keeps getting deprioritized in my business. So we'll add that to my business, and we'll add that to my marketing resource. Cool. Actually, one thing I do, this is another thing that you'll kind of notice, is I know it might seem like I'm kind of scatterbrained as I'm making this video, but one of the big things that I notice is, and that I find very, very helpful, is if I have an idea, I immediately write it down so that it doesn't get kind of like lost in the ether. So like the idea I just had was related to the whole, do a, like complete like some sort of like meditation or mindfulness. Where did that go? There we go. The one that I'm kind of considering looking at is I want to look back into the, oh my gosh, what's it called? Kiva meditation, whatever the Emily Fletcher meditation training is. I want to look back into that, budget it out, and see if that's the one that I maybe want to do. So that's one of the tasks that I'm going to add in there. So I just had that thought and I want to jot it down. Okay, let's go ahead and keep looking. What else do we got here? Growth plan. See, this is not a growth plan. This is my bucket list. Though my bucket list actually could be helpful in kind of determining the things that I want to accomplish. Not necessarily travel and experiences, but like look at some of my experiences. Have a mud fight. I did a obstacle course race. I've done like 5 Tough Mudders. Oh my God, they're so fun. And I want to have a mud fight. Personal growth plan. So this is the difference for me. A personal growth plan is organized. It has deadlines. It has action steps. A bucket list is just a list of things you want to do at one point in time. It's awesome. Like, a bucket list is great. I think it's really fun to be like aspirational like that, but a personal growth plan is the actual logistics of how is it going to get done. And that's really what like my achiever heart really, really desires and needs. So learn to speak Italian. Okay, but it looks like that's everything inside of my bucket list. So I'm going to go back over to personal growth. I don't think there's anything else here. The next section of my life handbook, which is spiritual. I know there are some things under here that I really want to do. Okay, see, I will read the following spiritual text to grow my understanding and knowledge. This is actually something I really want to do in my life. I took a world religions class in college, and I thought it was absolutely fascinating. And I've always really kind of wanted to dive a little bit deeper into it. This is definitely a goal. I want to host a mountain and hiking style retreat. Okay. So that's one, and that's gonna go definitely under my business. I kind of already do this, so I'm gonna cross this one off. I do want to give a TEDx talk. That's definitely, yeah. Okay, so those are probably the only 2 from here that I would integrate into here. Okay, so there we go. That is the personal growth plan. That's all the things I want to accomplish. So now what I would probably start to do, oops, and I shouldn't have closed that other window because I need that little diagram that I had open before. I need that to help me kind of organize. So let me go ahead and open. If you're not aware of this, on a PC, the hotkey for opening a second window of Notion, because it's super not obvious and I had to Google it, is Control-Shift-N. That's how you open a new window. I think it's Command-Shift-N on a Mac if you want to open a new window. So that's kind of how you would go about doing that. But let's bop on back to the Life Handbook. So I feel like I've got all of the goals I want to accomplish inside of 2023. 2024, let's look at some of these. This I'm hoping will no longer be applicable. I do actually think one of my goals for 2023, let's maybe call it a Q2 goal would be to start working with a masseuse again. So we'll put that under Q2 here. And I'm kind of listing them out over here, not because this is going to be a reference point for me, but because I just want to make sure I don't overload myself. So start working with a masseuse. We'll have that be end of Q2. So that would be June 30th would be the end of Q2. Okay. Let's see here. Start working with a chiropractor. I actually probably want to do that by the end of next year. So we'll say that is a Q4 goal for next year. Q4, start working with a chiropractor. These are probably ones that I almost kind of hesitate to put them in here. I don't want to forget about them, which is why I am, but they should be relatively easy to check off. It's kind of just like find a chiropractor and start working with them. But they're also things, they're very easy to do, but they're also very, very easy not to do, which is part of the reason I'm integrating in here these guys so that I'm able to kind of keep on top of them and add the deadlines where I need to add the deadlines. So, okay. I definitely don't want to add anything else to next year. This feels like a lot for next year. It feels manageable, but it does still feel like a lot. Because, you know, this one, and this one, all three of those are very easy to accomplish. Easy not to accomplish, but they are easy to accomplish. Okay, so let's look at 2024. I'm going to go ahead and speed through this next part. Just know that I set a lot of goals based on seasonality. In the winter, I was focused on fun indoor activities, and in the summer, I was focused on things that would be fun to do outdoors that would utilize the better weather. So before we wrap this sucker up, what I'm going to go ahead and do, I feel pretty good about kind of how I distributed these. Obviously, it makes sense that like years into the future, I don't have nearly as much going on, and next year I do. I may even find over the course of working on these things next year that this is just too much for a year to work toward, and I might kind of redistribute some of these, but I'll cross that bridge in the future. The last thing that I want to do is I want to kind of navigate a way for me to kind of have all of these things planned out into the future, but without kind of clogging up my different life area pages. So I'm going to start with the personal growth page, because look at all of the things that are on that personal growth page. So I want to see if I can find a way that I can filter these. And actually, I think I have an idea. So this year is checked. Nope, I don't like that. That's filtering by too much. There's a formula that I have going on in here where it checks this year, and then I use that into another one of my views. What I actually might do, and I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this because this is going to be logistical and irritating, is I might also make a next year option, and I might show the ones for the next 2 years. But that is how I made my personal growth plan. I know it was a little bit of a lengthy process, but frankly, I have never seen one of these videos on YouTube, and I've really wanted to do this for a very, very long time. So I hope it was helpful to you to kind of see some of my systems. Again, if you don't want to start from scratch and you really kind of like some of my setups, if you really like some of my setups, head on to the link either in the description below or head on over to my website and check out my anti-burnout Notion digital planner, because it's got all of this stuff all inside of it, all already automated for you. Before we wrap up, I do want to show you what this is all going to look like once we put it together. So we've added all of the dates in here. I'll go through and I'll fix all of the life areas and whatnot later. But what this is going to look like is, and I think this is kind of how I'm going to operate the personal growth plan moving forward, is everything's going to be populated within these milestone calendars. So this is where you're going to check to see, do I have any due dates or action items that are coming up? And this is also going to populate inside of, our quarterly planner. So right now it is showing you all of the goals that are coming up for the next year. I'm probably going to put a cap on this. And so it's showing you all of the goals that are coming up for the years ahead. I'm probably going to put a cap on how far into the future this goes. But again, once I switch over to next year, all of the goals for Q1, Q2, and Q3 are going to start to populate here. So this is probably actually going to become, I might just start calling this the like goal planner instead of, I like that so much better than quarterly plans, because that's what this ultimately is this is a goal and project planner. So I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to change that name inside of my templated version because I don't like quarterly planner. I don't feel like that captures what's going on here. So, cool. That is it. This is probably going to be my point of reference moving forward into the future. But if you've got any other questions, go ahead and drop them below. And I will be happy to help.